What is up, YouTube? This is Casual Yu-Gi-Oh here, coming at you today with my Dark Magician deck profile. Uh, One person asked for it, so that's what we do here at this channel. If one person asks, we're gonna give it to him. It's in high demand. Yeah, so I've been playing this deck since the Dark Magician support came out. Obviously, you guys just saw BB's Blue Eyes deck profile. Maybe we could duel for you, go Blue Eyes versus Dark Magician on the channel. We could maybe do that, but Dark Magicians is a deck I really enjoy to play. Yeah, it's gone through some changes here and there, but some of the staples are still the same. So without further ado, let's get into it. You start your deck with 3 Dark Magicians. You have to have the Star Deck Yugi Dark Magician. You have to have it, otherwise the deck just doesn't function properly. But yeah, and the Arcana one, of course. But yeah, Dark Magicians. What I love about this deck is that you actually have to summon Dark Magician to win, and that's how the deck plays. Dark Magician is a 3 of. There's ways to search it out, all that kind of stuff, but you have to play 3 this card. I've never seen a Dark Magician deck profile play less than 3. Next, play 3 Magician's Rod. Rod searches out your Dark Magician spells or traps. That's pretty much it. I mean, he's very important. That's why you have to have 3, but that's basically all he does. Triple Apprentice Illusion Magician. So her effect is you can discard a card to special summon her, and there's some good things you can do with that. And then once she's summoned, you add a copy of Dark Magician from your deck to hand. And then if she's in your hand, you can, or she's on the field, you can send her to the graveyard to increase the attack or defense, I think, of a Dark Magician spell or a Dark Spellcaster and increase its attack or defense by 2,000. So she's pretty good. She comes in handy, but I think she's a definite 3 of. She's, obviously the retread of Dark Magician girl. Next, for the Wind Witch engine, I play 3 Wind Witch Ice Spell. The great thing about Dark Magicians is that you don't summon on your turn, like you summon on your opponent's turn. So basically, if you're going first like you want to do in this deck, you can easily just summon the Wind Witch engine and get your Crystal Wing out, and you don't need to summon. So like the fact that you can't special level 5 or higher doesn't really affect you. But I play 3 Ice Spell. It's the ratio I like, and then 1 Glass Spell because I don't want to see the other parts of the Wind Witch engine. I just want to go into them normally with Ice Spell. I only play 1 copies of each, plus it leaves room in your deck for other things. So I play 1 of her and 1 Snowbell. And then I play 1 Blue Boy, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Obviously, there's people that play 2, or maybe even, I don't think they play 3, but they just play 2 of them. I just like having other things in the deck. I completely understand why you would, but I like just having 1. And then lastly, for the monsters, I play 1 Dark Magician of Chaos. There's people that don't play this card. It's really easy to just OTK your opponent in this deck. And guess what? He can be special summoned from the graveyard, using the way you normally summon him with the spell card. So, you can just ditch him off Apprentice Illusion Magician, and, you're not losing anything. So, he says when if he destroys a monster from a battle, that card gets banished, and then at the end phase of the turn he was summoned, you can grab a spell card back from your deck, or back from your graveyard, which is very important. And then for the spells, triple Dark Magicians, Dark Magical Circle. This is basically, if I didn't have any other Dark Magician cards, if I didn't have the whole setup for the combos, I would always go for this card if I had, Rod or something like that. Circle says when you activate it, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck. If any of them have Dark Magician in the text, you get to add it to your hand. The only card that doesn't count, even though it says Dark Magician, is Eye of Timaeus, because it says Dark Magician Monster, which is really dumb. But yeah, and then if a Dark Magician is summoned once per turn, no matter which turn it is, you can just target a card on the field and banish it. So Dark Magical Circle, I think it's a staple at 3. You need to see this card early and often. Triple Summoner's Art. So this is the part where I'm going to call the rest of the Dark Magician players retarded, because this card literally searches out the card that you have to have in your hand to play the deck, and they don't play it. Explain that one to me. 1 Spellbook of Secrets. This searches out your other Spellbook cards, Spellbook of Knowledge. That's basically it. I mean, obviously, you could run 2 of this and 2 of this if you wanted to increase your Spellbook engine. I completely get it. I just don't really want to. Dark Magic Inheritance. This card, before the Spellbook of Knowledge came out, this card was kind of it was okay. I felt like there's a lot of times I wouldn't have the spells in my graveyard, but because of the Spellbook engine, this card's great, because basically you're always going to have 2 spell cards in your graveyard, and this says you can banish 2 spells from your graveyard to add any Dark Magician spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And obviously, the more chances you have of going into something, the more cards you have that say Dark Magician on it, the better. One Dark Magic attack. Obviously, this is a card that, like, if you're going up against it, doesn't have a lot of back row, you could side this out for something else. But I think in general, just because Eternal Soul searches it, like, automatically, I think this is just kind of a staple you have to have in here. Because, I mean, most decks are going to be playing some sort of spell or traps that'll stay on the field for you to pop. One Dedication through Light and Darkness. This card, I think, needs to be a staple in Dark Magicians because, like I said, like, there's a lot of times if in a regular Dark Magician game where, like, you could maybe put 5,000 damage on board, but you can't put that, like, extra amount to, like, OTK your opponent. And, like, with Dedication, like, not only is it getting out a 2800 beater that has, like, some cool effects, also that sends a Dark Magician to your graveyard. A lot of times, if you'll have Eternal Soul in the field and you just need a Dark Magician to summon, and, like, that's your answer. So, yeah, Dedication's very good. It says Dark Magician in its text. It looks awesome. I think you need to play it. One Dark Magic Curtain. This one's, like, debatable. I could understand if you didn't want to play it. I like it because it summons Dark Magician from the deck. Now, granted, you can't summon any other monsters that turn, but you pay off your life points to summon Dark Magician to the deck, and it lists Dark Magician in its text. That's, like, the main reason I like it. Obviously, if you guys didn't like it, you could put something else, but I think this card looks too damn good. And, like, it does actually come in handy, because there's some times where, like, you went first, you did your plays, and let's say, like, you kind of, like, nutted, you did everything, but, like, you don't have anything left. You get Dark Magic Curtain, like, you're like, okay, I'm still good, I'm still alive, I got a chance. One Illusion Magic. This card is probably going to come out. There's some Spellcaster support that'll be coming out at some point, and I'll probably replace this card with that. This card just says Tribute a Spellcaster to add 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck or your graveyard and add them to your hand. The problem with this card is that, like, most of the time when I go through my plays, I've already gone through at least 2 Dark Magicians, and because Dark Magician is really easy to search in this deck, and I really don't need to, like, go grab more copies. It very rarely happens. The only reason I like playing this at 1 is just because in case you don't have any Dark Magicians or a way to search a Dark Magician in your opening hand, if you have Magician's Rod, you could at least search this out, trib your Rod, and, like, get 2 copies of Dark Magician. So it's like, maybe as a one of, like, but no more. I don't think you'd want to see any more of that. And lastly, for the spells, when Eye of Timaeus, thanks to the Dragon Collection box that came out last year that gave us a better target for this, it makes Eye of Timaeus a little more, like, functioning, a little more playable. Yeah, Nick, the guy who did his ABC deck profile and Dark Magician deck profile earlier on the channel, he always draws this one of. I don't understand how he does it, but he always just draws it. I never see this card. Yeah, I'd probably see it a lot more if they let me search it, but they don't. It's so stupid. For the traps, Triple Magician Navigation. This is the best trap card in the deck. Some people will say Eternal Soul, but this card, like, has no downsides. Not only does it let you special summon Dark Magician from your hand, it also lets you summon Apprentice Illusion Magician from your deck, which Apprentice Illusion Magician will let you search another Dark Magician, so, like, you plussed off that, and then once it's in your graveyard, the next turn you can just negate a spell or trap by banishing it. This card's amazing. Definite 3 of. Yeah. Triple Eternal Soul. Eternal Soul lets you special summon Dark Magician from hand or graveyard, or you can add a copy of Dark Magic Attack from your deck to your hand.
The best and worst card in the deck.
Exactly. It is the best and worst. There's times you're like, man, Eternal Soul just, like, winning me this game, and then there's other times you're like, man, Eternal Soul just lost me this game. So, yeah, it happens. You still have to play 3 of it. This, like, to anyone who, like, I don't know, wants to criticize Konami for stuff, this is how you make a support card, in my opinion, because clearly this card is, like, really, really good in certain instances where you're like, wow, this really helps you out. But it has a downside, and that downside is steep. And I think that's how they need to make cards. Like I feel like for archetypes, this is how they should make cards. Where, like, if you want to have something that's really, like, really great, it has a downside. Triple Champions Vigilance. Shout out to Kevin Johnson for showing me this tech. He was playing it in, I think, Spirals or something like that. This card is amazing. If you're a Dark Magician player, you're not playing Champions Vigilance, you're playing the deck wrong. This is a free Solemn Judgment as long as you control Dark Magician. You're going to be playing Dark Magician. Like, if you're not playing Dark Magician, like, if you can't get him out, you already lost. So, this card, you just have it, and it can stop a normal summon, a special summon, or a spell or trap. Yeah, the only thing it can't stop is a monster effect, but that's why we have the Wind Witch engine, so you can stop monster effects, so you're all good. There's no downside to this card. And then lastly, one Dark Renewal. I just put this back in recently. I was just looking for, like, one last card, and honestly, I think this card actually fits the needs of what I need. I need something that doesn't destroy, that gets rid of cards. So basically, I can just, if I have a Rod sitting out there, or an Apprentice Illusion Magician, or if my opponent stops my Wind Witch engine, like, if I stop the whole play, you can always Dark Renewal like whatever monster they get out with your monster, and then summon Dark Magician or whatever you want. Dark Renewal just says you can summon any Dark Spellcaster you want from your deck or your graveyard. So you could summon Dark Magician to Chaos if you wanted to. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, one Dark Paladin. So Dark Paladin is probably my favorite monster. I don't know. It's like a tie between him, Black Skull Dragon, and Dark Arm Dragon. But Dark Paladin is just amazing. I still think you need to play this. If you're playing Eye of Timaeus, you need to play this card. If you go up against a dragon deck, you need this. If you go up against a deck that's just like playing a bunch of spell cards, you need this. You're a fucking dumbass.
God damn it!
One Amulet Dragon. Amulet Dragon, just another option. If your opponent has a bunch of spell cards in the graveyard, he could become really beefy. Or if they need their spell cards in the graveyard, it's just an option. With Dark Magicians, you have so much room in your extra deck. Dark Magician, the Dragonite. This is your best one. I don't think you need more than one copy because you're really never going to play Eye of Timaeus more than once, especially if I'm only playing it at one. He's really good. He counts as Dark Magician on the field in the graveyard, which kind of gives you your protection with Eternal Soul. And then what else does it say? Your spell and traps can't be destroyed by card effects, and they can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects. So that's basically how you can kind of keep your Eternal Soul. This is perfect support that they gave it. I thought it was great. Sadly, I never get this guy out that much because I never see my Eye of Timaeus because it's not searchable. So Supreme Arcanite Magician. So I'll be honest with you, as of right now, I can't get this card out. I'm waiting. There's a support card called Magicalized Fusion or something like that that is a Dragon's Mirror for spellcasters. That's the card I would replace Illusion Magic with, and it would make this card live as well as a few other things. It's called like Quintet Magician. It's like a 4500 fusion spellcaster that just says it takes 5 spellcasters with different names. Basically, with the Wind Witch engine, if you draw your Wind Witch and you draw the fusion card, you have this play, or especially if you can put one of the spellcasters in, you have that guy to summon out. But this thing, again, when it comes out, it gains 2 counters on it. For each counter, it gains 1,000 attack points, so it'll come out at 3,400. And then you can take the counters off to like pop cards on the field, that kind of stuff, or draw cards. So it's really good, but like I said, right now I can't get it out. For the synchros, 1 Wind Witch Winterbell, part of the Wind Witch combo. 1 Stardust Dragon. This is kind of your other option, like if you, obviously like Crystal Wing, because if like you have Eternal Soul and like you're afraid your opponent is just going to pop it and ruin your stuff, you could always just go into Stardust, and that way you can kind of protect it. I mean, granted, they can still target it, and I guess like if they had Galaxy Cyclone, that's not destroying it, but Stardust is just good in case you fear that, like a Twin Twisters or something like that. For the XYZs, 1 Naruto, the Moral Leader. In case you have 2 Apprentice Illusion Magicians, you want the ability to go into this card. Utopia Beyond, same thing. You want the ability to go into this card. He can, on summon, he can reduce the attack of all your opponent's monsters to 0. And I think that's a permanent thing. I don't think it's until the end of the turn. So, yeah, and it just takes 2 level 6 monsters. And then the rank 7s. 1 Ebon High Magician. I never go into him. He can play Spell of Traps or quick play spells and trap cards from your hand. That's really cool. I just never go into him. Because to be honest with you, the way I play the deck, you really don't go into a whole lot of rank 7 plays. 1 Ebon Illusion Magician. When a normal spellcaster declares an attack, you can use his effect to just banish a card. And I don't believe that targets. And then he can also detach the special summon a spellcaster from your deck, a normal spellcaster. So he's really good. If I went into if I did an XYZ play, he'd probably be the one I go into. 1 Big Eye, steal shit. 1 Master of Blades. He could always come out, but the artwork's so cool that like if you have the room, just like put him in there. But I really don't know what to do with the rest of the extra deck, so that's why he's in there. Red Eyes Flare Metal to burn your opponent, and 1 Herons of Prophecy. Hierophant, is that how you say that? Hierophant? Yeah. So with the Spellbook engine, if you really if you want to load up the deck on Spellbooks, this card I think has to be in your Dark Magician deck because his effect says once per turn, detach material to blow up spells and traps your opponent controls up to the number of Spellbook cards in your graveyard. So normally if I do my whole thing, and I don't think it says Spellbook spells, I think it's just Spellbook. Oh no, it does say Spellbook spell cards. So if you do your Spellbook engine, and then you can go into him, you can just blow up 2 back row that your opponent controls. So that's not bad, and he looks awesome. And he is a dark spellcaster. But lastly, a few things I want to say. The cards I don't play in here. I don't play the Magician of Dark Illusion or whatever, the level 7 guy that plays in the hand. Although he looks cool, I just find him to be way too damn slow. There's like so many opportunities where like you draw him in your hand, you're like, I can't play him. Or if your opponent gets rid of your back row, it's like, well, he's screwed. Like, he has no way of coming out. And he doesn't give you enough when he gets summoned. Like, he counts as Dark Magician, that's basically it. And it's like, if I play a spell and trap, I can bring back a Dark Magician from the graveyard or something like that. It's like, it's just not good enough. His stats aren't Dark Magician stats. It's not good enough. That, like, Blue Eyes, their alternative dragon is kind of like what we should have had as Dark Magician, but we didn't have anything like that. So, yeah, I really wouldn't play that card. Maybe if you want to play 1, but with the people that play 3, how's that working for you? Because I don't really think it works that well. I think my deck would trash yours. But anyway, that's it for the deck profile. If you guys liked it, like, comment, leave a comment, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. And yeah, have a good one.